Thank you for the invitation to speak. My name is Inés Mónica Sarmiento-Archer, and my presentation is about how art is working on the craft and healthcare, and art is beneficial for healings and sustain themselves on difficult periods. Towards person-centered positive health, a review of the works of artists and writers. Research and literary review of prominent artists have shown that artistic activity included weaving, painting, music, dancer, has been shown to support and improving psychological and physical outcomes and alleviate disease. It is important to be aware of the context and tradition of each individual community and culture to learn how to care, promote positive health, and improve their quality of life. This review explores the process that contribute to improving mental and physical health through various therapies and traditional medicine. Based on creative expression, writing, visual art, music, and movement, an attempt in made to help define an artistic approach to health centered on the person. The concurrent generation has been part of a global transformation from 2019 to 2022. Global society has suffered a mental health crisis caused by the COVID pandemic. This article makes a brief historical overview of different studies related to artistic activities and health during this investigation, the positive effects that the arts in general have on people's mental and physical health are verified. The objective of this study and analyze case of famous artists throughout history to determine the positive influence of creative activities on mental health. By studying this case, we can evaluate how others may benefit from artistic meanings on the complexities of health and wellness to alleviate illness and promote a better quality of life. A literature review of the work of artists and writers on health and disease using inductive historical and descriptive analysis of research by academic and medical professionals. It has been recognized that throughout history, many writers, artists, and musicians have shown the ability to be creative and productive in the face of their own pain. By approaching the clinical history and understanding through retrospective diagnostic of the life of these creators, it has allowed access to the individual from their creative intimacy and from their own art to recognize the person in an integral perspective to contribute to improving their physical and emotional health. This study shows the way in which the diseases was overcome through artistic activities. Their creation, the paintings or writings are products of the different symptoms they experience. Example of are John Milton's. The English poet, pamphleteer, and historian may have suffered from Asperger's syndrome, which led to problems with his social relationships. His symptoms became at the age of 35, with loss of vision in his left eye, severe headaches and digestive problems, and later with a complex loss of vision. His illness worsened during his imprisonment as punishment for his political ideas. In 1867, his work Paradise Lost was published in this narrative poem. The poem makes a modern definition of suffering and pain. He criticized society and religions as too restrictive and was committed to radical intellectual liberty. Fyodor Dostoevsky, the great Russian writer, suffered from epilepsy starting in 1816. Over the 20 years period, 120 seizures were documented, as well as various other crises and types of illness. His symptoms were depression, emotional distress, aggressiveness, character disorder, and insomnia, as reflected in his text, in a compulsive style. He began with abrupt, long, and complex sentence, just as the disease acted in his body. In his work, we see a reflection of opposites, life and diet, are analyzed. He described the moral and social context of the time, which is reflected in his work, Crime and Punishment, as well as in his novel Memories of the House of the Dead, published in 1862. Later in life, his health deteriorated further, and he expressed ever greater despair, and he was convicted of crime against the Russian state. Jonathan Zwift, Irish writer, focused on satiric form scatological humor based on the symptoms he had. It was possible that he had Meniere's disease and deteriorating disorder of the inner ear. From the age of 22, this disease caused him symptoms of vertigo, irritability, hearing non-existent sounds, loss of hearing, and loss of concentration and memory. He became a maniac for order. He believes for everything. From adolescent depression, marked his work has reflected in his writing. In Gulliver Travels, you can see the change in his compulsive personality and his state of mind among stories, essays, and pamphlets. His scatological poem stand out. Radiant Tulips, a satirical text, is full of fantasy with unexpected reasons of physiological and corporal acts intimately related to sexual humor. It was written after he turned 50. By then, his physical and mental health was in serious decline. Miguel de Cervantes was knowledgeable about the concurrent state of medicine and disease and the ailments of this time. Cervantes' illness developed at about 1616. Symptoms include diabetes, cystosis, dropsy, and ascites, causing him intense thirsty. However, other ailments are also possible. Don Quixote de la Mancha is a word that represents psychological illness. His psychological diagnostic was monomania or paranoia. In addition of this extraordinary literary value, he stands up for a wealth of writings on medicine in Spain during Golden Age. He's writing about malnutrition, the sanitary situation, and the medical sanitation, especially in a time characterized for infectious disease. Francis Bacon, according to his biography, he lived very hard years under the authority of a dominating and brutish father figure. During his youth, he was ridiculed and mistreated for being a weakling with a reserved character, very shy and silent, and slightly with chronic asthma problems. As a result of this are his work where human figures stand up in scenes that reflect alienations, violence, and suffering, which cause a sense of instability and displacement that remain with Bacon through his life. His very emotional use of color and brushstroke, the exaggeration of forms and gestures in an expressionist way highlighted demands of violence and mortality. His main inspiration used very dark and cold tones. Investigating the disease process of renowned artistic led us to understand that creative activities are a model of self-healing, starting from the individual's own conscience towards intercare of promoting person-centered health. In recent years, studies have advanced in the description of the disease symptoms of the different creators. The studies from an artistic vision, writers, poet, painting, contribution from the health center of the person to help other professionals from their community towards the understanding of their creations. Vargas Llosa points out the disease does not appear alone, has a catalexis to the defenseless individual, but rather it appears as one more test that the human being must overcome to affirm the spiritual and transcendental dimension that exists in the human being. In conclusion, the experience in case present reinforces the idea that the different artistic activities such as literature, painting, music, and dancer favor healings. The person focus emotions and artistic and constructive practices, helping to alleviate the disease by self-healing and increasing the healing power of traditional medicines. Thank you very much to the International College of Person-Centered Medicine.